Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for remaining with us. My name is Anthony, and I am your host for Financial Markets. Before we left in the break, we had looked at the gainers. That was Uganda Clays Limited and Jubilee Holdings Limited. And these came out on the top, with Jubilee coming out in position number 1, and definitely followed by Uganda Clays Limited. We've looked at the detailed performance. And if you are interested in any of these two, you can now visit the Uganda Security Exchange, and they will be able to give you a stockbroker, or you can visit a stockbroker yourself. These stockbrokers include the Standard Bank Group, SBG Securities. They also are very good friends here. We also have Dyer and Blair Investment Advisory and Investment Bankers. They are also good at what they do. We also have UAP, Old Mutual, who are some of the people interested in this. Then we also have several other, investors, investment advisors, and people like Zeno. Those are called fund managers, yeah? ICEA, and all these other companies could be subsidiaries of bigger companies, but so long as they are licensed by the Capital Markets Authority. You can, to make life easy, www.cma.com, that is Capital Markets Authority. They have all the licensed fund managers, as well as the licensed stock brokers on the stock market, and definitely they will give you everything you need. Now let's move into the losers at KCB, who lost by 1.16%. Now KCB came out with an end of day trade of about losing by about 1.16, and he was the bottom loser on the stock market here. KCB Bank, if you can look at that graph there, we see the fluctuations in prices that we have seen so far, and we see that he's quite a turbulent stock on the stock exchange. And if you can see from the beginning of the month, September 2021, we see his prices ranging from around 1,400. If you could just draw a line there, we see from 1,400 to 1,500. But then later, the average dropped to 1,400, as you can see on the graph, monitoring there in November. And then at the end of December, we see also some decline there, a significant decline in prices there on the stock of the KCB counter. And then we see that it rose again to an average of 1,400, 1,300, which was quite stable into the year 2022. That is in the month of January. We see that there was a little bit of stability there on that particular counter. And then we see that in May, we see a slight decline, not really a significant one, but a significant decline still there. 1,200, that was actually significant. From 1,400 to an average of about 1,100. That was a significant drop in prices. Then we see a steady rise. It still went back. In the month of June, we see that it went up and then to 1,200 and then went down again at the beginning of the month of July. But when we see that on average in July, it has been on a rise. And just of yesterday, we see it dropped by 1.16% to a price of 1,289.15. That was after a decline of over 15.18 cents. Now, these 15.18 is the amount in Ugandan shillings that was lost on this particular stock, and the amount, if you're a shareholder on this stock, that you have lost. So like I said, it is not all bright and clear on the stock market. There are days you're going to lose, and that's the best way to gain. That is what I can say about such stocks, because every time you're losing, buy more. You can use your money to buy more every time you're losing, because as you can see, this 1,289 is not the average of this stock. The average of this stock over the last maybe 10 months is actually 1,400. If you can just look at that. If I draw a line at 1,400 here, you see that it cuts through most of this. More than when I draw a line at 1,200, it only cuts through a few. Meaning the average performance of this stock is 1,400. And anytime, anywhere, this stock can go up. So if tomorrow we woke up and it's at 1,400, yes, you're going to gain 200 on each and every share. And if you have 1 million shares, like my usual example, you are going to have 200 million of profit. If at all you are lucky to find a buyer who is able to buy at that particular price. That's how it works. And then the performance of this particular stock over the past few months, weeks, and then a year. We're looking at the market closing last Friday at 1,500, 3.12 per share on the Uganda Security Exchange. And the KCB began the year with a price of 1,414.32 Ugandan shillings, but has since lost an 8.85% loss in value of that price valuation, ranking it the 8th. If you'd excuse me, ranking it the 8th on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. So in terms of the year-to-date, from the beginning of the year, we're seeing that it is in the position number 8, after we're seeing a drop of 8.85% of its pricings since the year began. Then we look at the 1-year performance. Exactly 1 year ago, we're looking at an 8.06% loss as well. And then in 6 months, we're also looking at a loss of 8.85% in those 6 months. 3 months, we are still looking at a loss of 5.12%, while in 1 week, we are seeing a loss of negative 3.43% in just 1 week. But for 4 weeks, we are seeing a gain of 4.08%. And I think this allays the fears of investors. The table, of course, now, there we showed the given prices, and we see how they have been distributed over time. But then now we see the administration of this company. KCB Group PLC recently definitely had a change in management from the CEO, who was Mr. Joshua Oigara to Mr. Paul, who is now the current CEO of the company. And Joshua Oigara was the company chief executive officer for over 9 years. And he did a lot for the company, looking at, increasing their assets, seeing that the company has more subsidiaries across East Africa, even here in Uganda, increasing the presence of the bank in several other, countries. And he did a lot during his term, his 9-year term, but later handed over to Mr. Paul. We see that the group chairman is Mr. Keiru Andrew Wambwari, and also the chief financial officer is Mr. Kiambi Lawrence Kimathi. Why is it important for us to know these people? Because one of the performance indicators is governance. If you have good governance, even if your stock is doing bad, people will keep buying that stock. At least people who are aware that you have good governance. Because where there's good governance, there's good business, definitely. Good business will come, and definitely the company will grow. So you want to trust your money into a company that is governed by, first of all, experienced people. Secondly, very authentic leaders, good leaders. Thirdly, with good financial results, at least from their experience. So, for example, MTN recently changed their CEO from Mr. Wim Van Helput, who ushered it into the Uganda Security Exchange, onto the exchange in December 2021. That was on the 6th of December. And now they're changing to Miss Livia, who is from Safaricom. You're looking at Safaricom, the biggest telecom company in Kenya, the biggest on the stock market, most valuable on the stock market, with the highest activity. So you would expect that this lady is going to bring on board expertise that's going to help the company grow. And so you invest in it with that background knowledge. And definitely we are seeing that for KCB. KCB is in the financial services sector and has seven competitors on the market. Some of these include Equity Bank Limited. We have Bank of Baroda, Uganda. We have Stanbic Bank, Uganda. We have the National Insurance Corporation, and we have DFCU Bank, as well as Jubilee Holdings and Centum Investments Limited. And is KCB a good company for you to invest in? Yes, well, it depends on you, but definitely looking at its performance on the stock, it's something that really stands out in stability. It's quite stable, and we are looking into the growth of this counter in the future, and being also one of the most valuable stocks on the market. Yeah, it is something you can consider investing in. They have 2.98 billion outstanding shares, and they are worth 3.85 trillion at the moment. That is their current market capitalization. Looking at that table there, of course, it shows you the growth and valuation, the last trading results, and the market capitalization. But most importantly, the outstanding shares. How many shares do they have in the public? They have a total of 2.98 billion, and the market capitalization of that is 3.85 trillion. Market capitalization would be now 1,299.12 multiplied by the total outstanding shares, which is 2.98 billion, to get to that figure of 3.85 trillion. That is Kenya Commercial Bank for you. It is definitely a subsidiary of the Kenyan-based KCB Group, which is a commercial bank in Uganda. And also, it was opened for business in Uganda in 2007 in Kampala. KCB Bank offers a number of course, services, fully fledged universal banking products that are tailored for the Ugandan market, while taking advantage of the emerging regional investment opportunities to support inter-regional trade and banking in East Africa. It trades under the symbol, like you can see on the screen, KCB, and that is on the Uganda Security Exchange. And it has the identification securities number of KE000315. KCB currently is the third most valuable stock, with a market capitalization of 3.85 trillion, representing at least 17.9% of Uganda's market capitalization of over 21 trillion Ugandan shillings. That is a KCB Bank for you. If you would want to invest in KCB, don't worry. It's a Kenyan company, but cross-listed here. But you can also invest in KCB back on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Like we will see on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, it's also listed and it's doing quite well on that market as well. So you just have to choose and be able to trade at your own convenience. Let's look at Centum Investments. Centum Investments is another company here that did some trading yesterday. But of course, it ended in the losing side of the game. Now, when we look at the current stock performance, the graph there doesn't look so good, but at least it looks good for those looking for opportunities to invest. And the Centum Investment Company closed its last trading day with a price of 287.15 low on the Uganda Securities Exchange after we have that percentage drop. And now when we look at this performance in particular here, we see that the company started the year with prices of about 2,000, maybe, no, actually not 2,000. We see that the company started the year with about prices of 550 and 540, which were quite stable. They were quite stable, but then they went down to below slightly below 500, and they stabilized for the month of December 2021 through the month of January 2022. And we see that stability increasing, continuing till the month of March. And then we see a third decline. After this first one, we see another decline on the stock exchange. And then this decline was up to May. And then we see another decline in May until the month of June, when we see another little bit of a slight increase to 311.93, which we are seeing right now. Now, this represents a daily loss of 3.14%. And Centum Investment is a cross-listed company, like any other, cross-listed company from Kenya. And it is, of course, listed on the Uganda Security Exchange since February 10th of 2011. So it's over 11 years old on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Centum is traded on the Uganda Security Exchange with the ticker symbol CENT, C-E-N-T, and the International Securities Identification number for the company 000265. Centum Investment is currently the 13th most valuable stock on the Uganda Security Exchange with a market capitalization of 208 billion Ugandan shillings, which makes about 0.965% of the Uganda Securities Exchange market capitalization. Looking back at the trading results, if you can see on this table there, we see that the trading results show that we have shares outstanding of over 665 million shares that are outstanding, and the market capitalization of those shares is currently 208 billion Ugandan shillings. And definitely this is as a result of multiplying the 665 million shares times the current price, which was 311 Ugandan shillings, to come up with the figure of 208 billion Ugandan shillings. Now, in terms of weekly performance, Centum declined by 3.89%. And while in terms of 4-week performance, that's a month ago, we see that Centum went up or appreciated by 4.22%. And in terms of 3 months performance, we see that it went down by 15.8%. And in terms of 6 months, we see it went down by 29.9%. While in terms of 1 year, it went down by 42%. So 1 year ago, if you traded with Centum, right now, you would be making a loss of 42% of that money. Yeah, sad news, but that's how it is on the market as well. Year to date, we are seeing a 29.9% loss. And based on this data, we see that Centum is the 10th most traded stock on the Uganda Security Exchange over the past 3 months. Centum has traded a total of 2,900 shares that have been valued at 1,120,000 over this period, and with an average of 46 shares per trading session. A volume high of 2,700 was achieved on April the 7th for the same period, and definitely we see that in the table we see shares of maybe 200 that was traded on the 6th, on the 20th of June, and then we see shares that are up to 2,700 that were traded on the 7th of March, on actually the 7th of April. Then on the 3rd of March, we had over 211 shares. Then on the 1st of December 2020, we see 200 shares. And then back in 2019, we see 100, 150, 45 shares that were traded. And we see starting the year 2020, we are seeing the changes in prices as being negative. And that's a significant indicator of poor performance for Centum Investment on the stock market. We also see from over 1,060 shillings in the year 2019. You can see if that last date on the table, the last row, 20th of September 2019, we see that they sold 100 shares at 1,060. Now compare that to today's price of 311. That's a very significant drop in those 3 years. Yeah. So from 1,000 to 300, that's a very, very sharp drop there in price. Moving on to Centum Investment was founded, the history of this company, it was founded on 31st of March, 1967, and it operates under the financial sector, specifically the investment services industry. Centum Investment Company contracts an estimated total of over 1,082 employees, and the company is led by James Mwirigi Moria as its Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director since 2008. The company's board of directors, chaired by Dr. Donald Kaberuka, who, of course, is composed of 10 members whose names you can find on the company website. Looking into the other competitors, you see Centum Investment has several competitors who are also in the financial services sector, and they have a total of 7. In their total, there are 7 in number. And these, we have National Insurance Company, we have DFCU Bank, we have KCB Group, we have Equity Bank, we have Bank of Baroda, we have Jubilee Holdings and Stanbic Bank Uganda that are dealing in the same product or products as Centum Investments. Now, those were the stocks that topped the tables and the stocks that really stood out. Let's look at the performance of other stocks here. We see that on the market we have 18 stocks, not just the ones I've been talking about. We have Bank of Baroda, represented by Bobu, at 85, trading day. We were closing that trading day with 85 Ugandan shillings. We also have Batu. Batu is British American Tobacco Uganda, who closed at 15,000. Centum, we have already seen. Cipla Quality Chemicals at 70, also closed the market at 70 shillings. We have DFCU Bank at 550. We also have East African Breweries Limited at 4,456. We also have Equity Bank Limited, who is at 1,429.17. He was a gainer. We also have KCB, who was a loser, like we have seen. We have Kenya Airways, who lost to 121.91. And we have MTN at 190, did not have any activity. We have National Insurance Company at 6. National Insurance Company did not have any trade. Actually, National Insurance Company traded shares worth 792,918 shares. We have Nation Media Group at 604.77, who lost also on the market. We have New Vision Printing and Publishing Company at 160. We have Stanbic Bank at 21. Stanbic Bank, on Friday traded 61,300 shares. Then we have Uganda Clays Limited at 17.5. He traded 700 shares. We have Umeme, who traded 20,611 shares, ending with the price of 216.07. And then Jubilee Holdings, lastly, at 8,275.8, who came out as a gainer as well. At the end of the day's trading session, we see that there was a total of 875,529 shares that were traded on the market, corresponding to a market value of 10.5 million approximately. Now, compared with the previous trading day, we had data showing 43% improvement in volume, 79% improvement in turnover, and the current market capitalization of the USE is 21.5 trillion. In the aggregate, we had 4 Uganda Security Exchange listings take part in trading, and these were led by Jubilee Holdings, as we have seen, followed by Uganda Clays, then Umeme, then Equity Bank. On the losing side, we had KCB lead from the bottom, came out with an end-of-day depreciation of 1.16%. And then we had him followed by Centum, Kenya Airways, National Insurance, and Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank, Uganda, we had the highest volume traded by Stanbic Bank, Uganda. Actually, no, National Insurance Corporation had the highest volume with over 792,000 shares that were traded, while Stanbic Bank had 61,000, and Umeme had 20,000, and Uganda Clays had 700. Regarding the performance of the indices or indexes, if you come from the United States, are kind of trackers of performance for several companies. So instead of having prices, you have points based on the initial points that you gave to that particular index. Now, on the Uganda Security Exchange, we have two indices. Number one is the All Share Index, which is the benchmark index that tracks the performance of all the listed companies. And that particular index went down according to this graph, as you can see behind me. The index went down by 0.09% to a price of by about 1.1 points. And he closed at 1,250.48 points, representing a 1-week gain of 0.98%, a 4-week gain of 4.02%, and an overall year-to-date loss of 11.98%. There's another index called the Local Company Index that tracks the performance of the domestic equities. That one performed also on the market with daily increase of 0.14% to reach 279.24 points, making it a 1-week gain of 2.73% and a 4-week gain of 0.14%, while a year-to-date loss of 13.99%. That is the Uganda Security Exchange. If you want more of this, you can visit the Uganda Security Exchange website, but you can also keep watching this show because I will definitely be giving you more insights into this and more of what other securities are doing. Now we're going in the last short break we have on the show, and when we return with the Nairobi Stock Exchange and a couple of headline stories that we have for you. Don't go anywhere, stick around.
Smart 24, driving business. Bulu Magic is my joy.